Want to welcome you all. We're getting underway, and there we are. Sorry. Okay. I just want to welcome you all to our first webinar on working from home with Trezi. We'll be getting underway in a couple minutes and getting things set up, making sure we're all in place for this very exciting event. So stay tuned. I'll be back with you in less than a minute. Thank you. Hello again, and thank you. We're going to get underway. So, hello, I'm Darren Rizza, and I'm very excited to be here today on our very first webinar, and for this very interesting topic of working from home. We've all been part of the idea of working from home. We've probably all done it once or twice before. And but now suddenly a bit of a new meaning and a bit of a new requirement where everyone that we work with is now working from home. Likewise here at Trezi, I continue to work remotely, typically from Chicago. However, now all of my teammates back in India are in their homes as well. So it's a new experience, even for those of us who are used to working remotely. Okay, there we go. Great. And as I just mentioned, we all know why we're here and what's going on in terms of the coronavirus and how this has forced everyone's hands in terms of business as usual happening while we all do our part in staying safe and helping reduce the curve, as some people say. In terms of making the coronavirus a more understood and a less prevalent issue in our daily lives. Some of the information that I'm sharing here today is coming from the World Health Organization and their website. And I think this is one of the most calming things for me is to get more data on information for an event like this and truly understand its expanse. And if anything, when I look at this slide, what I understand most is I'm not alone and that other people are going through this and we're going to do it together. And that's the best thing. That's what collaboration is all about. And that's what allows us to be successful and will keep us moving. And as we continue to look at new information every day, a lot of articles are out there now about how to work from home the right way, how to do everything. I was amused the other day. There was a great reposting of an event from a couple of years ago where a gentleman was taking an interview with, I believe it was the BBC, and in walks his toddler into his home office. She comes marching on in, and then shortly thereafter came somebody to collect her. He just continued right on and did his interview while on air, etc. but it was certainly a humorous spot. And it's certainly the type of thing that we need to remember, that while we're all getting used to this again and in getting things done as usual, certainly one of the best and most important pieces of information for working remotely from your usual teammates is to crank up the communication. So whether you're all now on a certain type of chat system, be it a Teams or a WhatsApp group or such, maybe instead of your 10 messages a minute, maybe you're doing 12. But that idea is to really just keep the flow going and keep information moving, and just be aware of where everybody is. So one of the things that we do at Trezi in terms of our work style is we have our daily stand-up for the engineering team, and as well for the sales teams and the variety of teams that we have at Trezi. But we all do a daily stand-up just to do that check-in, and of course the Agile methodology. But it's something that you guys can all take on with your teams and do a quick daily check-in, just to take the pulse and see what's happening. And as well, obviously, some of the things that this will help is keeping you from feeling isolated. It's really odd, I think, those first few weeks, for me, working remotely from the team, you suddenly begin to feel a little like alone. But the moment you turn on the video camera, the moment you start hearing those voices, sharing stories, etc., it all goes away. And so that's one of the benefits there. And then in today's webinar, we hope to also show you that when you are collaborating within Trezi and communicating with people within Trezi's environment, it feels even more real with the fact that you actually can see other people. You actually have the opportunity to interact with people's avatars, and suddenly they're a little bit more real, or a little bit more in front of you, I should say. And then as designers and architects, we've been through this before, and we also understand how the things in society really do shape how we design or how we create places and other things within our environments. This is a really great article from Curbed. It's all about the various other pandemics and other sort of major types of health crises that have occurred, and how they've influenced the designers, be it Neutra or others. So another piece of information just to help you find your way and find a ease in your everyday life. All of this information will be provided after the webinar ends, along with a recording of the webinar. So that way there, you can check back in and get some of this information and dig a little deeper as much as you like. And I think as you will begin to see, and as we begin to demonstrate shortly, the difference between an immersive environment like Trezi for collaborating with design. It's one thing to jump onto a GoToMeeting or a Zoom or a Google Meet even, and be able to, yes, see other people and talk and discuss and get all of that out of the way, or share those slides, the PowerPoint, all of that. However, that all again remains to be those flat images, the flat part of your project. With Trezi and its immersive environment, you're all able to get into the model and be together in there and be able to interact with the model. So as you are all Trezi users, though today I believe we may have some people that are checking out Trezi for the first time. And actually, I'm going to take this moment because it reminds me that using this type of webinar software, I've got this great thing called polls. And I'd like to just take a quick moment of your time here, interrupt the conversation. I'm going to start a poll here, just in terms of, are you a current Trezi subscriber? Just to sort of take a pulse of who's looking at it, and I can kind of figure out from here who my audience is in terms of what we're talking about. So I'll let it go for a little bit more as we begin to understand what's happening. Okay. Let's see, 26 people, 20, 28. So we'll keep going. It's a lovely late night here in Chicago. Actually, well, we're just past. I'm now on the same day as everybody else. It's always one of the wonderfully funny things where I always feel like I have 2 of every weekday, so to speak. I start my day in India with the team, and then I end the day here in Chicago with my family. So it's all quite interesting in that regard. All right, we're getting closer to the majority of people, and we basically have a good 60-40 split right now amongst the audience in terms of 60% are current Trezi subscribers and 40 aren't. So that's a pretty interesting mix for today. So I'm gonna quickly close out of that poll. All right, great. So now I understand what it means for you guys today. So the majority of you are familiar with or have already had the experience of doing a design review or presentation or a coordination meeting with Trezi, where you're able to be with your customers, be with your design teams, and work within the design model. And that is truly a significant difference, as I was starting to talk about, in terms of Trezi's meetings compared to the others. That ability where everyone is in the model, everyone has the opportunity to interact with the model, not just watch, so to speak, somebody else, or just look at an image on the screen and kind of understand what's going on. So the same types of things that we've been answering all along the way with Trezi itself, but now with Trezi Meeting, you're all able to be in there together, just as you were, say a month ago, in the same conference room or in the studio together with others, and being able to be in that model. So now, as we look at, in general, when we look at Trezi's meetings, there are some basics that we'll take a look at, in terms of the project workspace. Your models that you want are the central focus. So those workspaces that you create suddenly get transformed into a meeting space, a place where you'll be with everyone you need to be. The attendees, as a host, you get to select what your attendees are able to do within the meeting scope. So everywhere from, they're a full editor, they can do and use all of Trezi's features and do whatever they need to do or mistakenly do, depending on what's going on. And then there's sort of just the annotator. This person can add in notes, take measurements, a very simple interaction with the model. And then there is view only, where those attendees, all they can do is look around. Obviously, everyone has the ability to hear each other and be part of the conversation, but a viewer, a person with the view rights, essentially just gets to watch within modeling environment. And then starting and ending the meeting sounds very basic. It certainly is, but a couple of key things to be aware of and to make all things successful. And then while we're in the model, I also like to take a look at some of the new stuff that has just recently arrived in Trezi, and that is the BIM Object Catalog. Now you have complete access to BIM Object from inside of Trezi, and then as well, along with my library. So now your content can become part of Trezi itself. Okay, so I think at this point, what we're going to do is we're going to meet in Trezi. And so we're going to do a little housekeeping, and we're going to swap over to the Trezi environment. Praveen will be joining us, and we're going to be getting things going there. So let's see, I've got to, excuse me for a moment while I just get things to happen. Okay, great. I'm going to turn off my video so that way there we don't have too many distractions. All right, so here we are at what we all are primarily familiar with here. This is the Meetings tab in Trezi, and from the Meetings tab, you're able to do everything you need to with meetings, from create, look at the upcoming meetings that you have, and as well look at your past meetings, so a history of the meetings that you've hosted and such. So when you are creating a meeting, very straightforward, give it a meeting name. This is something you want to be meaningful to your teams, to your customers, your clients. This is what shows up on their screen. So this is the first understanding of what's going to be going on in this meeting. In terms of the meeting timing, the ability to select the date, the day and date for the meeting, along with the start and end times. And that's what we call our scheduled meeting. And then there's the immediate meeting where, hey, you want to just quickly do this right now. So most likely with another Trezi user there in the office, and you just want to get things going. So that's the other opportunity we have. And then you'll select your workspace. This is essentially the workspaces that you have listed in your projects area. And any one of those is able to be part of your meeting. And then as you add in your attendees by their email addresses, you'll then be selecting the rights that you're going to be giving these people during this particular meeting. And as I quickly discussed before, view, edit, and annotate. These are the three options. And once you select what you want them to do, you then go on and click on the invite button, and that basically puts them into the attendee list. So after you're done with adding in all of your attendees, you can just go on and click create meeting. And that gets it all scheduled out and sends out emails to your attendees with all the necessary information. And then at the time of the meeting, usually 15 minutes or so ahead, you want to go ahead and start and join the meeting. And that way there, your attendees are also able to do the same thing by joining in and all being together in the meeting itself. So once, excuse me, once everyone goes in, it's Trezi as usual, so to speak. You're all at the tabletop. This is where you could begin to start your meeting, or most likely the host will typically have an idea of what's going on. Oh, we see an attendee there in yellow, and also you can see that attendee, who it is. That's our guy Hart, and he is wearing, or he's in VR. You can tell that obviously because his avatar has the headset on. So you know that attendee is participating in VR, as is Chandan. So Chandan's also part of this meeting. You'll also know there's a whole lot of color, red, green, and yellow. So every meeting attendee is assigned a color as they join, and this becomes useful so that as they might be working with various parts of the model, those parts will be highlighted in these particular colors. So this is one of those things that you want to just pay attention to. And you'll always have a list there in the meeting panel. So be an attendee or the host, you all have a meeting panel, which helps you understand who's there, what their rights are and such, and whether or not their microphone is on. And then the host, which the panel that we see here, has a few extra abilities in terms of muting all attendees and gathering people as well. Gather is one of those really good things that allows the host to bring everyone together because at a certain point, no doubt people have wandered off, started checking things out themselves, or somebody might get lost. They don't quite understand where they need to be. This is a really quick way for the host to gather everyone to their location, and everyone then arrives and the meeting can continue. So I think what I'll do is go ahead and gather everybody to where I want them to be, and we'll get there. So let's see. All right, so we're going to come on down into the model here and begin to check things out. So here we are down in this work cafe, and I'm going to bring everybody on in. And so when the gather all happens, there's a little bit of a fade that the attendees see. So that way there, it's not, you know, this abrupt kind of thing, but this sort of gentle little like, hey, we're going in, and now you can see everyone. All right, so we're all going to now kind of do a little design modification editing here. We each have our responsibilities today for modifying the design, and we're all going to kind of get to work. I'm going to kind of talk through my process, what I need to do. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to be taking a look at this area here where there are a couple of tables right here. I've got to get rid of them because I need to duplicate that set of tall tables right next door and take a look at how that's going to fit. So I'm basically going to be editing and deleting these things as necessary to make room. So I'll get rid of these tables and chairs. And you can see things are highlighting in my color of red. So the others in the model can see what's happening, and they're not so surprised. And as I'm doing this, everyone else is seeing it in real time. So there's no lag, there's no, you know, waiting kind of thing. And then let me go ahead and grab this table, get into better position. There we go. And I'm just going to go ahead and duplicate that. So that way there it's set and ready. And move it into place. Grab my axes. I'm just going to slide it on down. Let me say that again. Let me slide it on down. Yes, here we go. Okay. All right, so, and there it is. And I'm just going to go ahead for the sake of making sure we're looking at everything. I'm just going to grab one of these lights and pull it over there as well. So that way there, we get the idea. And as I said, I'm just using the duplicate process, which just basically copies and places that element right in place, and then puts you into the move editing position so you can get that thing where you want it to be. So there we have it, and you can see other people doing their thing around there. And I think as well, Praveen was going to be setting us up with some material changes to the model, I think, which are one of the highlights of what can happen within Trezi. He's going to go ahead and take a look at the floor for us. He's our flooring expert, I guess. And so he'll take a look at our local library, at one of the many flooring options that we provide, and take a look at that. Okay. And so there you have it. We're going to go ahead and accept that. We now have a significantly darker floor than what was there before, something with a higher polish, etc. So that's all there. Now, one of the most widely used tools is available to everybody within the meetings, and that's, of course, the snapshots. So any one of us here attending the meeting is able to go ahead and just, as we individually would before, go ahead and take a screenshot of everything that's happening and record things that way, or be able to just have a quick record of that. as well. Every attendee, given the fact that they have the right permission set, can add in text annotations as well, and keep things going. Praveen was just going along there and setting up a good shot. And so now I think he is, and I am. Yeah, we're going to be putting in some text notes just to make sure that we're able to understand what was done, why it was done, or it could even be who liked it or who didn't like it. I mean, you have an opportunity here to collect whatever information that you want from your team. And so that'll be there. The other good thing about, let's see, here we go. The other good thing about the text annotations is they become part of the meeting report. And so that's a very good thing for the host. At the end of this meeting, a report will be delivered to them, and then that information could be distributed to others, or it could just be used for their own records. So everything that does happen while people are in your meeting is recorded, is jotted down. If there are things brought in, things are moved or deleted, text notes, all of that becomes part of that meeting record. So you have that information for you. So let me just take a quick look. Okay. I think as well, while we're in here, we can take a quick look at the BIM Object integration, because that becomes a very useful thing while you're in here, because I think anytime you've got your team of people collected in front of your design, questions start coming up. What about this? What about that? What would this be like? Well, what if we had this type of chair? Or what if we had this type of window or such? So the BIM Object integration becomes really good for that, where you can just have direct access to that complete catalog right from our insert menu and down into BIM Object. And so right from here, it goes right on out to BIM Object, and you can browse through looking at everything by brand or by the categories that are available within BIM Object itself. And then as well, you can also filter things out by the file types, and as well as by, let's see, by the types of items that they are, etc. Or in case here, we're just going to go ahead and do a quick little search for the Aeron chair, one of the favorites of all time. And so we can immediately search the catalog, all of the BIM Object Catalog, and bring it on up and have it available to us to bring into the model in place and use. So everything that is kind of everyday and ordinary, from an Aeron chair to, you can even insert an escalator if you need one. So a lot of content is out there. If you haven't been using BIM Object yet, definitely check it out. A lot of good content for you to bring into your models pretty quickly and easily. You can see here as well, supporting Revit, supporting SketchUp, the various file types that are able to come in without issue. And likewise, another place for content now is My Library. So similar, but not quite, to BIM Object, is the ability for you to upload your own content to the My Library. So this way here, it's part of the app.trezi.com, where your profile information and such is. We've extended that to now include My Library. You're able to build out an organizational structure, files and folders, and keep things organized. It could be by types of things, it could be by your projects, etc. But then you're able to upload and bring in SketchUp, Revit, FBX files, and then when you are in Trezi, going over to the My Library, in the insert menu, you will see the same structure that you created and be able to bring in that information directly into your model as well. So those of you with lots and lots of your favorite things that you want to be able to fill up your models with, or just, everything from those little bits and pieces that make things look better, or the actual product information that you may have received or that you may have built yourself. All of that is now available for use in any model within Trezi itself. So I think along with everything that you can do in Trezi, and now you understand how it can be used by multiple people within the meetings, and how it can be very useful for getting through those conversations about your design, moving forward with it, even while you're working from home. Because here you are, and hanging out here now with Chandan and Hari and Praveen, all within this work cafe, and being able to make some modifications and understand where we need to move on with it. So I think from this point, we're going to just head on back out, and we'll end the meeting, and I'm going to take back over a little bit of the presentation, and there we go. Excuse me while we just get the logistics here, clicking on Windows. There we go. All right, so now here we are back where we were. Great. And all right, so actually I have a couple of other quick polls that I want to do just to sort of get everyone going and see what everybody thought of that in terms of will you use the My Library, whether you're an existing subscriber or thinking about becoming one. Are you gonna basically head back, or actually you don't have to head anywhere, you're already there. You may have already started using My Library. So this is a great way for us to sort of just take a quick understanding about the ideas that we get going here. So, and great. All right. So obviously My Library is a pretty good success here in terms of this webinar. So a lot of people are probably gonna go check it out in a little more detail. And then one similar thing with BIM Object. Since BIM Object has a really large presence here in the States, and wanted to see as well with our audience and users in India how that would be. And take a look at that. So we'll let this one hang out for a few seconds while you all let us know if BIM Object is something that you would be using. All right, so basically we've got around a 75 or so % saying yes, we're going to be taking a look at or be using BIM Object, and 25 or so % of you going, maybe not. So that's all good. I think it's really useful for us to understand there. All right, so I think those are some of the basics and some of the detail, and of course our help pages. The Help Center has a whole section on collaborative meeting, on how to use it, everything from what you saw today to a little bit more detail as well. And I think before I forget again, I'm going to take a look at some of the Q&A. A lot of you have been active in terms of writing down some questions for me to take a look at. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And so here's a good one in terms of, apart from making changes in the interior design, can any structural changes be done while collaborating? Change window or wall dimensions. As always in Trezi, a lot of that has to do with how your how your model, source model is made within, say, Revit or SketchUp, and how it can then be manipulated or modified within Trezi itself. So the abilities to we'll say add a unit dimension on or such, add or duplicate the wall so that you can make it longer. That type of thing, that could be done. You could have options to be able to look at different sizings of walls or lengths of things that you know will be part of the conversation. So it's a bit of a think ahead. At this moment, we do not specifically allow you to select an object and say, make it 3 inches shorter, 2 feet bigger, that type of thing. So that's not part of what you're able to modify within Trezi. However, some quick thinking with how you build your model and what you need to be exploring while you're there with others, you can very easily set that up so you have that opportunity to look at what may need to happen. Let's see, material libraries, are they the ones present in the modeling authoring tools, i.e. Revit, SketchUp, etc.? So actually with Revit, one of the recent additions and enhancements to Trezi was a better understanding or a better read of the Revit material libraries and really getting them to be the best they can be within Trezi itself. Revit's materials are all managed and such via their properties. So we're able to just read that property data right into Trezi, and that basically controls how those materials are presented to you in the Trezi environment. So this way here, as Autodesk adds more or modifies any of the materials in Revit, we're able to continue to bring those into Trezi without issue. In SketchUp, with all the material libraries, the way materials are done within SketchUp, we have that the Trezi library, material library for SketchUp that you can download if you are a SketchUp user. So that way there, when you are in Trezi, after having brought in a SketchUp model, those default 300 or so different materials that come with SketchUp are not so much converted, but are going to use the Trezi version, so to speak, of those materials, which are quite nice, have great reflection, and work really well within the environment. So that's how we're handling the materials between those particular tools at this time. Let's see. And here's a good one whenever we talk about meetings. Is there an upper limit on the number of people who can join a virtual meeting on Trezi? We're still looking for it. We've been very successful in having very large meetings. So it can become a good thing that you can get, you can get those 30 people that you need to have in that meeting, be there. Or, do you really, what's going to happen when you've got all those people in there manipulating and or moving things around, that type of thing. So at this moment, we don't have a limit. We're letting our customers have the number of people they need to have in their meetings there. As we understand any potential issue that a certain number could cause, or a certain threshold that may begin to show up, then we'll make the needed limitation or decision to figure out how we control that. So, but I think at this moment, and especially in this time of day, with what's going on, we do not have any limit imposed. And let's see. And that is, okay. So how can the client be in Trezi? How are they supposed to access Trezi if they don't have the software accessory? So when you send out an invitation to your attendees, whether they are or aren't a current Trezi subscriber, because you've invited them to your meeting, they're essentially granted the rights or the access to that meeting and to that model. Plus, they have the ability to download the software and install it and get in there. Of course, at this moment, it does require that their system hardware meet the needed requirements for Trezi. But we have been finding that those that those current customers that have been using the meetings and inviting non-Trezi users, they've been very successful with that. So that's been a good thing. So we give the access. We don't require you to be a subscriber in order to participate in a subscriber's meeting. So very generous part there. So there isn't that limitation either as well. And right, so exactly. Yeah. All right. So I think that's our Q&A for the day. Good. I'm glad that we were able to take a look at that. And so that essentially brings us to the end of today's webinar on working from home with Trezi and how to make the most of that immersive environment with your designs and with your teams. So that way there, as you all do what's necessary and needed to curtail and shorten this pandemic, you can have a bit of your normal everyday work and get to work with the people that you enjoy doing it most, all within Trezi. And before you go, one last poll, just to take a quick pulse on how did we do today. So 1 star, really got to work on it. 5 stars, hey, great job. I really learned something today. And that'd be wonderful to hear. So we're all here for you. Please feel free to reach out to any of us. And with your sales team, the people that you've been chatting with, support at Trezi.com, myself, Darren at Trezi.com. Please, any question, any concern, any doubts that you may have, or just, hey, great job. We always like to hear that. Do be in touch, and I'll leave this poll open for a little bit more, and we'll leave things going. And if there are any other questions that you might have, do go ahead and ask, and we'll hang out for a couple more minutes as we come up on the close of the hour. So. All right, well, thank you. And okay, Q&A, here we go. All righty, well, I think that's it for the day. I'll let you all get back to work. The commute's really horrible sometimes at this time of day. Getting back to wherever it is from within your home you are working. So thank you again, and I look forward to hearing from all of you. Have a great day.